Do you ever wonder the results you'll get if you combine the Nikon Z50 mirrorless camera with the almighty Nikon 200 f2 version 2 lens? Well, in this video, we're about to find out. You ready? Let's rock and roll. What's good, guys? This is Vahography. I'm Vahagan, your rock and roll photographer. In this video, I am gonna take my 200 f2 version 2 lens out, finally, and I'm gonna combine it with the Nikon Z50 mirrorless camera. That camera is a DX APS-C mirrorless camera, the entry-level option Nikon offers right now. But I was curious to see how that camera would perform with the top-of-the-line 200mm lens, the best lens at 200mm prime, the fastest, the best, and the most expensive. Yes, it's a G lens, it's an F-mount lens. Yeah, so I'm excited today. You know, I'm interested in seeing how that Nikon Z50 will perform with autofocus, combining it with that massive lens. That lens cost about 8 times more than this camera body when it was new. So, and also I'm curious to finding out how well it will perform with teleconverters. I have 2 teleconverters with me today. I have the Nikon TC-3 1.4 times teleconverter, and I also have the Nikon TC-2 2 times teleconverter. That teleconverter is a little older. I bought from the Bargain Camera Show. I bought it, I put it away, and I never got a chance to use that thing. So I'm pretty excited. And we're on location right now, and we're about to take some shots of the birdies. I want to say hello to Mr. Josh. Bayou Josh, what's up, man? You pretty much inspired me to come out and see if I could shoot some birds today. So the 200 f2 lens, when you combine it with the Z50, that gives you equivalent of 300mm, because the Z50 is a DX crop sensor body. So you're essentially carrying around a 300mm lens with this camera. So it gives you a little extra reach. Now with the teleconverters, right, this is where it gets fun. With the teleconverter on the 200 f2, the 1.4 times teleconverter, the lens turns into a 280mm at f2.8. With the DX camera, the 1.4 times teleconverter with the 200 f2 turns into a 420mm equivalent at 2.8. So to push this thing even further, with the ×2 teleconverter, you're looking at about 600mm focal length. Yeah, guys, with the 200 f2, you'll be getting a 600mm equivalent focal length with that ×2 teleconverter, with the Z50. The 200 f2 turns into a f4 at this point, basically doubles the focal length. So now again, we're getting the best of the best lens, the best 200mm Nikon has to offer till this date. So our starting point is good. So that's good news, right, guys? Our starting point, the meat of the whole experiment here, is the glass. Let's go out and let's shoot some birds and see what we can find. All right, guys? Autofocus test, image quality test on a Z50 mirrorless camera. Let's go. Rock and roll. As I was getting ready to go out and make this video for you guys, I saw some birds outside my door and decided to get acquainted with the lens and camera. So I drove down to Orange County, Sunset Beach, Seal Beach area to the Bolsa Chica Ecological Reserve. This is a really popular spot where photographers come and shoot some birds, locally that is. And also it's a popular spot for people walking, working out, enjoying nature. A cool spot. And I also noticed a group of tourists with a tour guide getting acquainted with the place. I've been here years back, and every time I would come here with my camera, I would always see fellow photographers on the weekends shooting birds. So I decided to get to work with my 200mm with the Z50. As you could see, that lens is massive, and that camera is, compared to the lens, is tiny. Look at that. And a quick reminder, this is not a video about shooting birds. This is a video about the lens and the camera together. But let's have some fun, shall we? Wow, a 200 f2. 2.
Hell yeah.
So let's have some fun, shall we? The Z50, the 200 f2, the 2 teleconverters. And you know me, I love video clips. We'll be doing that as well. And it never fails. I always run into fellow photographers I meet at this location every time. Hey guys, what's up? Oh look, we got a fellow Nikon shooter here.
All right.
What do you got? Oh, that's a 500.
500 PF.
How do you like it, sir?
I love it.
All right.
For birds, you can't beat it. It's fast.
Nice.
It's sharp.
Nice, nice. He's like, what am I doing with the 200 shooting birds? Well, I had to tell him that I'm really not doing that, but we're just, we have a teleconverter on, and I should introduce him to that wedding client I had on that video I made with the 2470. Look at this guy right here. Oh, what's happening?
Hey, YouTube world, what's going on?
Look.
This is Bill from South Florida.
Nice.
Out here in California shooting the Canon R5 with the RF 100 to 500 zoom. Just got my hands on this today.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
You're from Florida?
Yeah, down around Boca.
Nice, nice. I love it.
Come and see at one of these days.
Yeah, we got lots of birds down there. Lots of
Canon
birds.
R5. Look at that,
I don't
guys.
think Nikon's got one of those. They got the
Vest here. You get the little foot. You put it on either on your lens foot or on your camera, and it's a 90-degree lock. You put it in and it's not coming out.
Look at that, guys.
It carry it all day long.
Yeah, like it's like a baby carrier.
Yeah, it's cotton carrier.
Cotton carrier?
Yeah.
Nice. How much is that thing?
This was about 79 or 89 bucks, I think.
Nice. What was your name again?
My name's Bill.
Bill and
B Dalton Photo. BDaltonPhoto.com.
BDaltonPhoto.com. Check
Yeah.
it out. And what was your name?
and Vic.
And
Vic.
Vic.
Yeah, it's
Vic.
Victor.
Vic. So Nikon shooter, Canon shooter. All right, guys. Well, hopefully we'll get some birds today, huh? All right. Rock and roll. Well, let's get the party started. Started the day shooting at 200 millimeters without teleconverters. All the lens info, just in case you're curious, is on the top left corner there in the Lightroom. And as you can see on the right side, I have not made any adjustments to these raw images. These are Z50 raw files. No editing whatsoever, straight to Lightroom. And on the right there, the camera info, the camera I'm using, the Z50 at 20 megapixels, the time and day it was shot, and all that good stuff, the Nikon Z50. So I started the day shooting straight up with no teleconverter. And I quickly realized that even with a DX Z50, you're at 300 millimeters, it's not enough. So I put the first teleconverter on. Here we go, top left corner, we're at 280 millimeters. That's full frame equivalent. So on DX, we're at about 420 millimeters. So anytime you see in the corner there, it says 280 millimeters, know that I have the 1.4 TC-3 Nikon converter on. Now, given that I have that converter on, of course, it's gonna degrade the image just a little bit, just a tiny bit from the original lens quality. However, a lot of things come into play here. The atmosphere, the air, the speed of the bird, and the focus point. You can make some tweaks in Lightroom and adjust that, make it just a little sharper, and adjust the colors here and get a really nice final result with that image I took with the converter and the 200 millimeters. Again, this is a 420 millimeter focal length with the DX sensor. So can you imagine how far away I am taking this picture with the Z50? See, it looks sharper, it looks better. And one more thing I want to add to this, the Z50 is not an ideal wildlife camera. The whole point of this video is to put an expensive lens, like I said, to a consumer entry-level Nikon Z50 mirrorless camera. So we'll be having some fun today. Here we go. Here's a gentleman walking by. Look at the background blur. Now, when you're shooting with the TC 1.4, the 2.0 turns into a 2.8 lens. So I'm shooting wide open here. Here's the ducks. And by the way, guys, I have no idea about birds. I don't know what they're called, the names of these birds. These birds look like black ducks with red eyes. So help me out here, excuse me if I don't know the names of what I'm taking pictures of here, guys. Now here's an interesting sequence. This is a really good looking bird with white wings, and the focus is tack on the bird. And I got a few sequence here. I got a few shots in focus. Boom, he's landing there. As you can see, the wings extended out there. I really like the results I'm getting with this lens, this camera, and this teleconverter here. And mind you, I have an FTZ adapter on as well. Let's not forget about the FTZ adapter that's on this camera. This is an F-mount lens, so we're actually doing a few conversions here. We have the teleconverter and we have an FTZ adapter on a mirrorless Nikon camera. I'm on continuous high and the camera did a good job nailing focus each frame. And here's Bill from Florida, our photography buddy we met. Take a look at the sharpness, look at the glasses, and look at the threads. You could see each thread on the gentleman's hat. I think these are really good results I'm getting with the Z50 camera. Now in this next example, I want you guys to pay attention on how much I'm cropping in Lightroom, just so you get an idea of how much we're zooming in. Take a look at that buddy there, chilling in the water. Now it's time to have some fun. The TC-2 2x teleconverter. Anytime you see a 400mm in the corner there, you know I have the 2x TC-2 Nikon teleconverter on the 200f2. Now, we're at an equivalent of 600mm on a DX sensor. Keep that in mind, guys. 600mm. With this teleconverter, I can shoot at a maximum aperture of f4 now. So given that I'm at 600mm, you can pretty much imagine how far these birds are flying in the air. This is a beautiful shot. Naturally, you'll get sharper results with the native 600 f4. But with the teleconverter and the 200 f2 with the FTZ adapter, not bad results. Look how good the Z50 is tracking focus here at continuous high with the converter on. Again, these are really nice results, I think. Now look at that. Look at the water, the detail of the water here. And at 600mm, you know how far these subjects are. Let's go ahead and zoom in here. We got some more photographers. Look, what kind of lens do they have? What kind of camera is that? Canon? Sony? Let me pull the image back a little bit so you get an idea of how far these subjects are from me. Now this next image is one of my favorites. Look at the fish in the bird's mouth here. This bird is quite a bit away from where I'm taking the picture. But look at the detail. Look at the water coming off that fish and the bird. Now I'm no wildlife photographer or bird photographer. However, I have some strong opinions when using current mirrorless cameras when shooting wildlife. I love my OVF on a DSLR. Now, here's hoping that the Z9 will make it easier to do wildlife with the no blackout feature and the high-speed focus and all that good stuff. Let's see if that EVF will help out wildlife photographers, make the job easier for them. Personally, I had some issues with the EVF, bright sunlight, trying to find the birds, and given that I'm shooting at a 600mm focal length here, I had a tough time locating them and finding them. But let's hope the Z9 eliminates all that. Now here's an example of just how far subjects are. Look, you can see the plane here. You can see that it's a Delta airline. But all in all, I like the results I'm getting. Look at the detail here at 4.5 with this lens and teleconverter. Look at all the detail on the bird's wings here in the background blur. And look at that. Look at the detail and the sharpness captured with this combination. It's very impressive, guys. Don't get me wrong. It's very impressive. Look at that. I'll crop in. It's really nice. And again, these images are not corrected. There's no sharpness add to them. Nothing. These are straight raw files. No editing whatsoever. Keep that in mind when looking at these sample images. Now look at this action cut right here. Look at these two enjoying that scene. They don't even know I'm taking pictures of them, but look at that bird diving in for the fish here. This is one of my other favorites that I took. I love this shot here with this bird in flight. Just look at the wings extended. I had a great time taking these pictures. Now, of course, like I said, there are better tools of the trade when doing wildlife. A Nikon D500 comes to mind. I could just imagine what kind of shots I could take with the D500 going native glass, and I'm just so used to the OVF. But don't let that deter you from what you want to do. I mean, sign of the times, guys. Mirrorless technology is the future, and we need to adapt. And, you know, so this is me adapting, I guess. Hopefully this video shows just that. You know, here we go. I'm editing a little bit here on Lightroom. I want you guys to see that we can eliminate some of that softness that we're getting with this teleconverter. Now let me talk a little bit about having teleconverters on with shots like this. Now you are going to get better results if you don't use teleconverters, obviously. But if you need the extra reach, you're going to have to deal with images that are a little softer. So you can eliminate that in Lightroom, no problem. Now here's an example of just look how sharp that is. I did some tweaks with the colors. Yes, this is with the teleconverter on. What is that, a pigeon? Well, I think this is a pigeon, right? I might be wrong. Guys, I don't know birds. But look at the colors. I'm bringing out the colors here. Look at the sharpness. And again, this is with the teleconverter, 2x TC2 teleconverter. I just mentioned about soft images with teleconverters. These don't look soft to me. Look at the detail in this bird's hair and the head and the eye. Look at the eye. Wow, very impressed. Nikon Z50, guys, with the 200f2 TC2 teleconverter with the FTZ adapter. Look at that sharpness and detail. Let's do some video clips now. Video clips with the Z50 with the 200f2, and I have the TC 1.4 times teleconverter on. I have the lens set to manual focus. I really like the results I'm getting. Here's our buddy again from Florida. And look at the sharpness doing video clips with the Z50. Look at the background blur, just creamy bokeh. Here's our other guy, our Nikon shooter with the 500. Here's a clip with the combination I'm using, the 200f2 with the TC2 on there with the FTZ adapter and the Z50. And our next clip, for you to get an idea of the atmosphere conditions in the air, that's what we were dealing with. All you birders and wildlife photographers out there, kudos to you guys, man. You know who you are. You know, you just have to wait and for the right moment, you know, a lot of downtime, enjoying the scenery before you catch anything good. And if so, hopefully you're in focus. It's a challenge. It's not easy, guys. It's not easy to shoot birds in flight, let me tell you. You know, I get that the Z50 is not the ideal camera for birding and wildlife. However, I was up for the challenge. I said, you know what, let me see what I can do with the Z50, entry-level mirrorless camera. It takes a lot out of you guys, a lot of patience. With me, you know, I'm ready for the action. That's my thing, you know, I'm ready for the action, portraits, people. But with birds, you know, it's a little tricky, guys, I gotta say. So hopefully the Z50 did a good job with the 200. And I love the 2.0 teleconverter. It turns this setup right here with the 200 f2 and the Z50, it turns it into a 600 millimeter f4. So I only have one battery for the Z50, so I'm on my way to my second location, Huntington Beach, California. Hopefully I'll get some bicyclers, some people jogging along the beach boardwalk pier over there. So the battery's almost depleted. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to charge this battery while I'm driving over there. I really love this feature of the Nikon Z50. You can charge it via USB. You're driving a location. This saved me actually because I had no juice and I wanted to kind of get some other shots in this video. So down the street when I was driving, charged it up for about 5 to 10 minute drive, and it gave me enough juice for these shots. Now, so with these particular shots, I have the 200 f2 with the 1.4 times converter. That gives us an equivalent of a 420 millimeter focal length. Look at this little guy right here. I'm really liking these results, and shots like this is up my alley. People, dogs, animals. Birding is cool, but I really like candid shots. What kind of iPhone is that? That's an ancient one. But look how much I was zoomed in here in Lightroom. Look at that quality. You can even read what it says on the gentleman's hat right there. The Z50 spot on with the focus tracking. Let's take a look at that again. The Z50 is not the fastest camera in the Nikon library, but it can certainly get the job done. Look at the background blur, very creamy bokeh. Now this next shot, cycling, coming towards me. Oh look, what kind of shirt is that? Let's bring up the shadows in Lightroom. Ah, Def Leppard, rock and roll. I spotted that. All I want is a photograph. Don't they have a song called Photograph? Really rockin' song. Yeah, rock and roll. But look at the detail in her eyes. The lighting is nice. The nice soft sunset. Look at the detail in her mask. Look at her. Cool skateboardist coming at me. Taking some shots. The detail in this gentleman's jacket. Now keep in mind, again, this is with the teleconverter on the lens. And finally, I just want you to see how creamy the background is. Lens makes all the difference here, guys. The Z50, cool camera, but it's all about glass. I wanted to take a few samples without teleconverters. Straight up lens, FTZ, and camera. Now, the observation I got without teleconverters, much better image, and that softness that I was kind of complaining about is virtually gone. Now this is f2 wide open, the f2 200 f2. Love this lens. This is why this lens is by far my favorite glass. I'd rather not use teleconverters if I don't have to, only if I need the reach. Now, if I'm doing birding or wildlife, I would probably not use the 200 f2, right? I would go with something longer, like a 300, 400. That being said, for those of you who already have a lens similar to this one or are planning on getting one, you can use a few teleconverters, sure. Of course, I was complaining about the softness a little bit previously, but you can eliminate some of that in post and you can get similar results from a 500 or 600 millimeter lens without having to spend all that money on long lenses. And especially if you plan on shooting birds or wildlife for 1 or 2 times a year and you're a portrait shooter, I'd probably go this route right here. And this is why this lens is the bokeh king. Look at that cream buttery bokeh. This is why this lens costs a lot of money. It's not cheap. And in my opinion, it is worth every single penny. Now here's some video clips I shot just to round out this video. Very nice results. Obviously, I would love to use a tripod here. These are all handheld with the teleconverter, I mind you. These are shots with the teleconverter on the 1.4 times. I'm capturing these clips at a 420 millimeter equivalent focal range handheld using VR. The Nikon Z50 does not have IBIS, so the VR on the 200 f2 works very nicely. A perfect way to end this video, guys. A beautiful sunset driving back. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Nice scenic drive home. And I was getting hungry, so I stopped at the Abbey in Seal Beach. It's called the Abbey on Main Street. Great beer, great people, amazing food. If you're in the area in Seal Beach, California one day, try this place out. If I had to, I could probably make really good food videos, huh guys? What do you guys think? Pet project, food videos, restaurants? I'm a foodie, guys, so what do you guys think? That looks really good. These are called Asian nachos from the Abbey. Look at that. Look at the melting cheese. Be sure to like and subscribe to Vahography. This is a channel where we talk all things photography. This is Vahography. I'm Vahagan, your rock and roll photographer. And we'll see you on the next video. Rock and roll.